Today I am going to make some whole wheat bread because we eat a lot of it. So I have all my ingredients pre-measured. The recipe comes out of the Bread Becker's recipe collection. It's kind of used, as you can see. You can also find it online. It's a really good recipe. It's simple. I freshly ground some organic wheat berries, so I have nice fresh flour. You don't have to freshly grind, but it's better nutritionally. I have yeast, salt, pink Himalayan, of course, in our house, an egg from our beautiful girls, our Azure Market safflower oil. I use sunflower lecithin. I have it in the house anyway for Trim Healthy Mama eating, so I just like to add it because it gives it extra moisture. It's definitely optional. And I have this beautiful baking honey from some local friends of ours. It's a little bit darker. It's not the really fresh filtered stuff. It's kind of what's left over. It works great. You can heat it up and then you don't ruin the enzymes in your raw honey because you're gonna bake this anyway. And I'm using my Ankarzer mixer. You could use a KitchenAid, you can use your hands. It's a kind of moist dough, so I like to use this instead. So I'm just gonna turn it on low and we're gonna get started with our ingredients. We start with 2 cups of hot water. And then I am adding 1/2 of a cup of baking honey. You can use 1/4 of a cup, but we like 1/2 a cup, it's much sweeter. Forgot my spatula. And this is really sticky. Baking honey tends to have a thicker consistency. But again, if you're gonna warm it up, don't waste your raw honey. You're not gonna get that same benefit from your enzymes because you're warming it up. All right, and then I have 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil. If you're not going to use the egg, use 1/2 a cup of oil. And this is organic safflower oil. Really, you can use any kind you want. It's just based on a whole lot of research. I don't use canola oil. I don't use a lot of the processed oils, and I try to stick with organic. So turn it up a little. We're just going to mix in the honey. And I'm actually going to show you. I love this machine. It is so nice. It makes the job so easy. And then you can move the arm over to the middle. It just kind of helps mix those ingredients in. Sorry for the camera work. I'm kind of new to this, so hopefully you can afford me some grace. All right, now I'm going to add my 1 beaten egg. I added it whole, it did not work well, so just add it beaten. Oh no, the honey's sticking. Then I am going to add my sunflower lecithin. Again, you don't have to have it, but it works really nice. When you pre-measure these things, whether it's honey, lecithin, any of the really sticky stuff, I always use cooking spray in my container. It just helps it come out a lot easier. All right. Now the reason that the hot water works, normally it would kill yeast and you don't want to do that. But the reason it works is because you're adding cool honey and cool oil to the water. So by the time it's all mixed in, along with your room temperature or cold egg, it cools down that water enough to not kill your yeast. So don't be too worried about it. I wasn't first, but it's okay. The flour will also cool it down too. So now I'm adding my yeast. It is a tablespoon plus 1/2 teaspoon. And then the recipe says to add pretty much everything here. It says to add the salt at this point. I'm going to add 3 cups of flour first. Salt can kill yeast. Now, is it a big deal? Is the recipe right or wrong? No, it's just how I do it. I've been baking for longer than I care to admit. So I'm dumping in 3 of 5 cups of whole wheat flour at this point. Then I'm going to add that salt on top. It's just some extra insurance. It makes me feel more comfortable. All right, and I'm just gonna turn up the speed a little. Now this wheat I just milled in my Country Living Mills machine, which I love. we got to meet, Jack was his name. We got to meet him while he was still alive. We went and visited him on his property, and he's such a neat guy. Oh my gosh, I miss him so much. He created this grain mill. It works great. It doesn't warm up your wheat too much. Some other grain grinders will make a really high heat, and that can kill the good stuff in your flour, the good enzymes. So I like this because the revolutions are a lot slower. I used to hand crank, but then I bought a motor. If you've ever done big batches of dough, believe me, you want a motor. I have an in-home bakery, so I sometimes make a lot of bread, and I got really tired of hand cranking 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, so I don't do that anymore. All right, so now I'm gonna add the remaining 2 cups of flour. And you're gonna hear noise in the background. That's my son Christopher. He just came in with today's eggs, so you get to meet Chris. All right, so now that I have all my flour incorporated, I'm gonna turn it up. Now this particular machine, you swing this arm out to the middle. Not sponsored, but I love that cars run. Okay, so you can swing it out to the middle just to make sure you get everything mixed in. Now at this point, I'm gonna try and turn this so that you can see. I'm going to bring the arm out to about 1.5 inches from the edge of the bowl. And I'm going to turn this knob back here. I don't know if you can see that, but what that does is it fixes the arm in place. And you want that because you want the dough to mix properly. So now I'm going to turn the speed up. We're going to put this on for 10 minutes, and I'll come back and show you what the dough looks like. Dough gonna do what dough gonna do. You can see it's coming together really nicely now. When it starts, it will look more like a batter, but as the gluten develops, it starts to become more cohesive. The machine will start to strain a little bit, and then there will come this magic moment when it turns into a real ball of dough. So I'm going to bring you back to show you that magic because there's just something really special. Hey, this is what I was talking about. If you look, you can see that it's actually forming a dough ball now. So what is happening is that gluten is totally developing so that we get beautiful, light, fluffy. I make dinner rolls today. The kids really enjoy those. So that's what we're going to make today. Check it out. Isn't that gorgeous? I'll bring you back in just a minute to show you how to test this to be sure that it's done. Okay, excuse the noise in the background. I have 8 kids. It's always loud. There's no way around it. So my mixer stopped. And like I talked about before, I'm going to spray my rising bowl so that it's not a mess. Now for this particular mixer, I'll try and show you here. You unscrew the nut on the back, lift up on this little pin, and that swings out the arm and leaves your little agitator, I don't know what to call it, inside. So I'm pulling that out, and then, oh, all that beautiful doughy goodness, right? Set those aside. And then I wanted to show you, and pardon me, I don't have any filming equipment. I'm just doing this on the fly, because why not? You know, it's pretty much my life. Everything is on the fly. So to tell if your dough is done, you take it and you roll a little bit in a ball. I don't know, this is like golf ball size, whatever you call it. I'm sorry about the sound in the background. I don't know how to fix that. I guess I'll figure it out. Maybe some of my YouTube friends can tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I know I'm doing something wrong. So you take your dough and you gently stretch it out, and you keep stretching and stretching, and you should be able to see through your dough, see a light through it with no tears in the dough. That is called the window pane test, and that is how you know that your gluten is completely developed, which means that you're going to get a bread that will rise to its maximum potential. See, now it tore because it's calling me a liar. But if I try it again, you can see that it actually does pass the window pane test. Sorry about that. They're loud. And you can see how stretchy it is coming out of the bowl too. So yeah, that's all there is to that. And then I'm just shaping it into a ball. This one's kind of sticky. That's why I said I really like using the mixer for this. Now, if you wanted to be sure that it was nice and smooth, right in your bowl, like I'm doing here, you can actually knead it up a little bit just to smooth it out. You know, it's an aesthetic thing at this point. I know that it's done because I've done my window pane test and it has been successful. But if you want to, you can knead it up a little bit to make it look nice. Or if you're old school, you can put your finger in it and it should spring back. See how it springs back nicely? Again, you know, it's up to you. I just want a roll that tastes good. So I have a whole lot of stuff left over here in the bowl. I did a batch of dough before I did this video, so I have the remnants of that too. Again, I did it on the fly, whatever. It's fun. So anyway, yeah, one more time, just kind of to satisfy myself. Just roll it up, you stretch it out, and you should not have tears. If you do have tears, you want to knead it for another minute or two and try again, because at that point it's not quite as developed as it could be. You also notice this is a whole wheat bread, totally 100% whole wheat. You notice that the look of it changes. When you start it out, it will be a very dark color, and as it develops its gluten, you'll notice that it changes to this beautiful light tan color, and it smells so good. I wish you could be here right now because this is just awesome. So at this point, we're going to leave it alone, let it rise until it's double. It should take about an hour because it's a lot of yeast for such a small amount of flour. It's a very quick dough. It can be rolls, it can be loaves of bread, it can be cinnamon rolls, whatever you want to do with it. So I will bring you back when the other loaf that I made is done. Now we're on to the next step. We have our beautifully proofed dough, and it is all ready to shape. So today I'm going to make rolls because it's a big hit with the family. So the first thing I do, again, it's optional. I don't like a big mess. So I spray my countertop with cooking spray. And again, you're going to hear a noise in the background because they're little kids. They hear me doing something. They have to come help. I have my dough on the board now, and I am going to roll it out into a rope. I want to make approximately 15 rolls, and this makes really big rolls. So this is good for like hamburgers, or in the case of my kids, they'll just grab it and put butter or cheese or whatever on it. So the easiest way is to pretty much approximately cut it in half. And then I take each half and roll it out a little bit more. And I cut the half in half. And you do that with both of them. So it looks like I'm actually going to get 16 rolls out of this. I'm going to take each of these one of 4 ropes that I have, and I'm going to cut them in half and in half again, and that will give me 16 rolls. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all those out. It doesn't take very long. It's a pretty quick process. And once I get these cut out, I will show you how to shape them. Now I have a baking sheet here with parchment paper on it. I buy it from Sam's Club because, again, I bake every day. It's just part of our life. And the cookies I make, which will be a different video, any cookies that I make, I bake on parchment paper. It's just so much easier than hoping that they don't stick to the pan. You don't have to scrub your pans after every use. It just really works out well that way. So that's what I do. Okay, now I have my 16 balls of dough. It's about the size of a lime, I'd say. And then what I'm going to do, again, I have a little bit of cooking spray on this. You don't have to. It makes it a whole lot easier, though. So I take it and I put it down. I cut my hand around it and I start rolling. And I use my thumb and my fingers and I kind of just cup them. And the bottom of that roll is grabbing onto my counter surface. And what's happening is as I roll, the dough is pulling under and making a skin over the top, a nice smooth skin. That's how you get a beautiful smooth dinner roll. And I'm just going to place it on my pan. It goes really simple. You don't have to do that. if you don't care what it looks like, you can slap that dough on there however you want. I like pretty rolls, so I just take, you can see how quick the process goes. Another method that I used to use is you take your dough and you just fold it in on itself. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you just pinch it up on the bottom. And it gives you pretty close to the same result. It works either way. Like I said, I personally really like how it looks when I just take that few extra seconds to do it this way. So that's what I do. And if you want to get really fancy, you can do it both hands. I've done that before too. When you're selling products to customers or baking for farmers market, you get pretty fast at this technique. We've baked it for farmers market on and off for the past, oh gosh, I don't know, about 6 years. These past couple of years, I just kind of got away from it. Well, it seems like I'm always pregnant or breastfeeding, and both of those things make it really hard to keep up with the kind of volume that you deal with when you're doing farmers market in particular. Or we did a farm co-op for a while where we would have weekly orders from customers. And it's a lot of fun. It's also a lot of work. If you're a baker, you know how demanding it can be. I used to do a lot of custom cakes too, but I kind of got away from that. The only time that I will do that is there's an organization called Icing Smiles. They provide custom cakes to critically ill children and or their siblings. So to me, that's a worthy cause. I'm willing to spend that time on custom cakes. Otherwise, I don't. Okay, so our bread is shaped. We have 16 beautiful rolls, just that fast. I will cover these with plastic wrap, and they should take about 30 minutes to rise. And in the meantime, I will be preheating my oven to 400 degrees. It takes about 15 minutes at 400 degrees. It depends on your oven. I have watched so many cooking videos or read recipes where it will say, bake at 350 for 20 minutes. And it's like, it's not even close to done. So it really depends on your oven. Mine, the one I'm going to use today, runs a little bit slow. I know this, so I give it 15 minutes. If it were in my other ovens, I have 4 because we do bake so much. If it were my other ovens, I know that they run hot and fast, so I would bake them more likely for 10 minutes. It just depends on your oven, so please don't take that as gospel. It depends on what you have. I will see you when these are risen and ready to go in the oven. Our rolls have risen and they're going to go into a 400 degree oven for 15 minutes. Don't they look pretty? They're all plump. It is 15 minutes later and I am pulling these beauties out of the oven. Oh my goodness. Take a look at that. They're golden. I'm turning off the oven. They're golden and big and beautiful. Ooh, you're not supposed to play with them when they're hot out of the oven, but I just can't help myself. They're so pretty. They're a little light on the bottom, probably lighter than I would normally like. So I am actually going to see if they're active, see if they're really done. Kind of hard to do with one hand, and I may get a little burn. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, looks pretty done to me. One good indicator is if you pull apart the ones in the middle and you don't see any doughiness, that's a good way of knowing that they're done. I think those look just lovely. So I'm going to leave them alone, let them cool for a few minutes, and then we'll cut one open. Well, here we are. The rolls have been cooling for about 10 minutes, and I can't wait anymore. I'm impatient. I want to have some. So the big reveal is here. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Soft, weedy buns. This is just wonderful. So simple, relatively fast. It's been about 2 hours since I started. And nutritious, delicious. The kids love them. I love them. But I don't eat very much bread. Thank you for watching. If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing and liking and sharing this channel. This is something new, something I want to do for a long time. Thank you for bearing with me because I'm new at this. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful, blessed day. Bye-bye.